YouTube, we're here at the home of Absolute Dogs, the heart of Absolute Dogs, and we're here joined by all of these guys. These guys are doing an amazing job. They're training their naughty but nice dogs. And without further ado, I'd like to talk a little bit about naughty but nice dogs as a group, because owning a naughty but nice dog, who's felt a little bit isolated, a little bit alone sometimes owning naughty but nice dogs? Okay, who's felt a little bit embarrassed owning a naughty but nice dog? Who's felt a little bit like they're a bad trainer or a bad owner owning a naughty but nice dog? Like, who's felt like they are letting the dog down? And who feels like they're not qualified some days? Who's owning a naughty but nice dog?
Every day.
I just be permanently nice. So I want to introduce you, to some of our students that are here, but equally Sam's one of our trainers here. Sam, you're about to do a bit of a get together. I just said, hey, I'm stealing the camera. I'm stealing all these guys with me, and we're going to talk. And these guys didn't get much option, did they? But they want to be here. Look at them smiling. Okay, Sam, what are you about to teach these guys? So you're going to go away and step and you're going to work with these guys for a couple of hours on a different topic. What are they going to be?
We're going to talk about dimmer switch, because these guys have been learning a little bit about dimmer switch.
Okay, so dimmer switch, for the person that's never heard about this and is even like, what the hell's naughty but nice, other than it could be something a bit dodgy. And I'll tell you now, very funny, but when we first started the naughty, we had a big naughty but nice group. And we used to have people asked to join the naughty but nice group every single day, right? They asked to join the group every single day. Some of these people were not fully clothed. Some of these people had dodgy clothes on. Some of these people were dressed in armor. I've never seen a group like this. Anyway, we changed the wording, we changed the description, we made sure they could own a dog, and then we've got naughty but nice. So, naughty but nice, dimmer switch. What do you mean by dimmer switch?
The dog's ability to go up and down in arousal. So some dogs get like super, super excited really, really fast, and then they really struggle to come back down.
What would make a dog get really, really excited? What event could make a dog really, really excited?
What couldn't? Well, people knocking on doors, visitors, other dogs, squirrels, grass, daisies. Look, it could be anything.
Yeah. So for my dogs, I know someone knocking at the door can send them into overdrive. Samuel, a minute ago, when he was coming in, knocked at the door. And I said, Samuel, don't help, just come in. And when you knock at the door, you tell them you're a stranger, right? Like, it's an announcement of someone's about to break in your home. And so those sorts of events can explode a naughty but nice dog, right? Explode. And a normal dog, let alone a naughty but nice dog. And is a naughty but nice dog a normal dog? Yes. So like any dog really is what we say. Okay, so dimmer switch, you can teach your dog to be able to get up and down. So you're going to be working on that with who in here would need that with their dogs? He's going to need that. Okay, so whizzing around a group, and the mics can hear you and the cameras can hear you. Just equally, one thing, just literally one thing, you don't have to go into detail on it, just one thing that your dog struggles with or makes them a little bit naughty but nice. And I'm going to put my hands up and I'm going to say, one of my dogs, she would really struggle with novel people, particularly men, and something surprising her. They could mean that she barks, and if she was cornered, I would say she could also bite. I'm a dog trainer. People might say you shouldn't have a dog like that. You're a dog trainer. I absolutely am a dog trainer because I've got dogs like that. And those are the dogs that teach me way more than my sweetheart Blink, who would never, ever say boo to a ghost. Like, she's the nicest, sweetest, kindest, most unaware dog. Whereas the dogs that actually do respond to things and do react to things, those are the dogs that have taught me to be a dog trainer. Those are the dogs that taught me not to rush up to a dog and grab them and smooch them and kiss them and snuggle them and cuddle them. And those are the dogs that have taught me not to go into a house and go, hello, and things like that. So those are for me, the educators in the dog world. Whizzing around the group, how about you? So I'm going to quote it this way.
Any other animal, dogs, cats, girls, foxes.
So any other animal can be difficult for your dog. But what breed?
German Shepherd.
Okay, so any other animal. And seeing another animal, smelling another animal, hearing another animal? Yeah. So Poppy, for example, she heard a noise that was an animal, a disc, or like when I say disc, like a collar disc. If you've got a dog that responds to collar discs, you've probably got a very intelligent, naughty but nice dog. Those are very smart dogs. They're already pairing things. Oh, that collar means that. Another one Poppy used to do, I used to call her when I saw a squirrel, a fox, a badger, a dog, a person, anything. I'd call her and she'd go, what's around? What's around? Because she knew that when I called her, that would pair. Has anyone seen that in their dogs? If you've seen that, you've got a true naughty but nice dog. You're in the right place. You've got an naughty but nice dog. And Poppy definitely taught me to go, okay, how am I going to call her back? Yeah, because as soon as I say her name, she's going to leg it looking for that dog. So I had to think of strategy. So well done, naughty but nice dog, and typical naughty but nice struggle.
For Roxy, it is guests. Primarily, that's our biggest one.
Yeah, and what she'll like this to do with guests? Because I think it's quite a funny thing, really.
Yeah, she will jump all over you. She'll be licking your face, everything.
And
cuddles.
And I remember when Easy gave Tom a nosebleed, pretty much. She literally, my brother Easy, she went bang. And saying, it was just that not understanding how to contain herself. She was about 20 weeks old and we'd had her 4 weeks and she was like a pogo stick, licking like in his neck, in his skin, around his head, and bang, she'd knock you out in the face. So it is, as much as it doesn't seem like a big problem because she's friendly, right? Actually, just quite anxious and she's
Really
quite
anxious.
unsure as to how to behave.
Yeah.
So great stuff.
Life,
Like,
basically. I think it's safe to say when it reacts to everything.
yes, should be very, very reactive. Type what breed?
She's cooked.
Okay, so cockapoo, and absolutely, you're here again in the right place, knowing that actually all of the things that they react to are things that we can work with and are things that are growing in. And I bet with dictionary walks, I bet
yeah.
you're ditching the bowl, I bet with dictionary routine, you're doing all of the right things. And it's really funny. Suddenly you get to a place, and Liza's at the door, but looked similar. Suddenly you get to a place and you're like, how have I got here? And you'll be really proud of it. And you'll be like, how did this happen? Like easy, honestly, would neg it away from me at 100 miles an hour and just run. And I was like, can never come back. How am I ever going to film this stuff? There is deer on camera. Like, she's not going to be seen. She's like a dot in the hill because she just didn't want anyone near me. Proximity was gone. You let her off and it was leash off, game gone. Like, there was no, like, she's with me, she's gone. And so I know you can make it and we're in the right place to make it. Naughty but nice is the right place to be. Sam, sort of naughty but nice struggles you see with other people's dogs on a day-to-day basis. Give me a couple.
Reactivity to dogs.
So Sam is one of the trainers who see reactivity to dogs.
Yeah, so barking and lunging, whether that's sometimes that they're just really overexcited, but that's usually confidence based.
Yeah.
Or whether they are, lunging, barking, sort of snarling, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Again, just normal dog behaviour.
Yeah.
Confidence, naughty but nice, disengagement. So
Yeah.
just some of the concepts that we play around with and work with.
And I hope, guys, you hear that Sam's sort of like normal dog behaviour. That is what it is. It is normal dog behaviour. And I think this is where we've got to stop slapping labels on it and saying this is a big behaviour problem. This is a massive behaviour issue. And this dog has a dog behaviour issue. Actually, it's only really a behaviour issue because of us in the picture. It's actually us that are really embarrassed and worried and struggling with this. And actually, in a lot of different situations, our dogs would be okay. It's the situations we find ourselves in the modern society, and the way we live, and the way we work, and the way we walk, and the way we exercise, and the way we do things, that's all changed for dogs. And so I do think that, notice how Sam's like, these are normal struggles, and we have lots of solutions. And these are normal struggles. Right? Like, none of you are abnormal. None of your dogs are abnormal. My dogs do the same things as your dogs. Yeah, it's just how we manage them and how quickly we might find a solution for them. And this one's really important, how fast we might see it coming and then change the whole pattern before it becomes an issue. Whereas someone else might not see it until it's 10 steps on because they've not seen it before. That's the joy of experience. I watched Eliza get bucked off a horse the other day. And this is horrible when you watch a 10-year-old getting flown through the air on a horse. And in some ways, when you look at it after, it's quite funny. And Eliza's made a video now of it being very funny. And she's asked me to share her video and her YouTube links. And I'm like, absolutely not. You can build your own audience, you little rat. Anyway, she has now done a little video of her being like thrown off. And then she says, I can do that better. And then she gets on and then she carries on again. And in this other video that she's made was not the same day. It's a different horse and everything. She's like, I can get back on. The thing is, I think I could see that coming 3 steps before she was thrown off. Very little I can do about it. I'm on the ground. She's cantering. Other than say, grab your neck. Done. She's gone. And I meant grab your neck strap. But she's already on the floor by that point. And so you can read it, you can see it, you can feel it. If you've had an awesome, nice dog run at someone, lunge at something, grab something. I remember Poppy once. Come this way, Sam. I'm not doing bad. Sam's going to stand there for a minute. Remember someone was standing watching agility? And Poppy once was trying to watch agility and she just grabbed their leg and moved it out the way so she could get a vision of the ring you did. And so I think if you get a vision of the agility, grab the leg, moved it out of the way. Next, she just grabbed the trousers. And thank God we weren't into such tight trousers then. We had much more like loose, like agility gear. Because these days, most people wear something sporty. Those days, we wore much baggier trousers. She grabbed and moved them. Just moved them out the way. And I think to myself, these are just normal dog things, really. All she was trying to do is get a view of the ring. She wanted to watch the agility dogs. And she wasn't doing anything nasty. They were just in her way. Move, human. Yeah, there we go. And so on a day-to-day basis, do you think these things scare us? Are they things we see on the day-to-day basis regularly, Sam?
Yeah, just normal. Literally every day. Nothing really, in a nice way, nothing really surprises me anymore. Although I get some odd ones occasionally. But the nice way about the way we train is that the stuff that we do, it kind of hits everything.
Do you have the odd ones hit? No. Absolutely. All you guys are not odd ones. No, I mean, we do get, I mean, I remember one lady, and when we say odd ones, I mean, I remember one lady, and she'll know and she'll giggle if she sees this. I walked around the corner and she had a dog tied up to the fence. It was a 30-metre line. It was German Shepherd and it was just running everywhere going, and I was like, that is probably not quite the way to manage that behaviour. She'll giggle if she sees this because that was happening about 6 months ago here. She hasn't done that since. She's changed the way she's handling it. But there are some odd things and odd strategies. She just tied it up and said, you'll get used to it. And I was like, oh my Lord, that's lethal. But naughty but nice dogs and struggles. It's normal. You're at the home of naughty but nice. It's a safe place. Okay, coming around here.
All of the above. And specifically movements. Movement to the leaf thing blown around. Tree in the wind.
So movement. And what brings? Okay.
Yeah.
This is very predictable, isn't it? So yeah.
Yes. Well, Dot is our dog, and I can add on to the
And that's why I
having
my add-ons.
yes, having people round because being so reactive to other people coming through the door. If it's outside her domain, her house, her little place, she can be okay. But as soon as they come into her home, she goes mad. And I felt personally that we can't have people around to visit.
And that's such a shame, isn't it?
And but she is a lovable dog.
Yeah.
She is a extremely lovable dog, but people don't understand.
And I think that's such a hard line to have because as much as it's funny, our house, we've recently built a house and we have a 2-bedroom house. And everyone said, why don't you make it bigger? I'm like, I don't need people to stay. I'm fine with them not staying overnight. 2 bedrooms is fine. My granddad came around. My granddad was like, where's my bedroom? I was like, no, granddad. Like, I quite like 2 bedrooms. But it is lovely to have someone around for dinner. And it is lovely to be able to invite guests in. And I think a real pleasure to do that. And yet, how does it make you feel? Just your brand is like enough for me to go, here I go. Like, literally, how does it make you feel?
It doesn't happen. When doctors know, I don't that. Nobody comes in. I don't think anybody.
Yeah. And I think that's where we've got to help, right? And that's where we've got to change things because we've got to make sure that actually these things can happen. And if you're a person like, I am definitely at the point that a minute ago, I invited Samuel, our cameraman, into my house and I told you that I've got a number of dogs. And so for me, I invited him looking like that. Sorry, but you look weird. He's got headphones on, he's got cameras, he's carrying things, and he had a tripod with him. When you walked in, any dog barked at you, Samuel?
No, they came up to me, but
It's a win. High five. It's a win. It's a win. I'm going to take all the wins I can because, oh God, I'm getting a proper one. Got to get a better one. So you've got to take the wins. And yet I would say a good few years ago, no chance. I've just learned to manage it better. It's not that the dogs are different. It's that we manage things very differently. Yeah. It's not that my dog's better than yours. And it's not that your dog's different to mine. It's just management. So it's management, and that's what we'll talk about. Good stuff.
So I think our dog struggles with arousal for the same reasons everyone else is given. So seeing critters, dogs, and I think we've also identified it all just boils down to movement. And I think the really wonderful, like liberating thing of coming here is realize it's lots of other dogs have the same struggle as your own dog. And yet before we thought that our dog was the only one that was crazy and we'd done something wrong. But you realize actually it's just a general underlying thing a lot of dogs have. It's just a lack of a particular skill. And what I also really love is that we came here for training in May and Sam saw our dog. She mapped out what she thought his ability to deal with arousal was, which was really, really tiny. And yesterday we were chatting about how much it's changed since we came here last because of the games that you taught us and how much more he's able to deal with arousal. We can see a difference. I'm not scared about going out the front door anymore. And I'm just so grateful to be able to come here. It's made a massive difference.
What is he?
He's a
Springer Poodle cross.
Yeah.
Nice.
So he's incredibly intelligent with grit that he won't give up on anything. And so
Is he barking?
Yes.
Yeah.
Barks and lunges.
I'm so sorry because I don't put through said the peer barking. Often put the poodle in and get the nature of the Springer, which is very busy off to a degree, and then the really strong sort of part of
he has a level of crazy that you don't
I know, yeah, an interesting one. An interesting because you think to both breeds together, and they're both nice breeds, right? And you can see why people might do it. And you can also see the extremes, right? So it sounds like you're on a really good journey. And it also sounds like, I bet you've made this picture smaller for it.
Long time. So
Yeah.
on, and then we came back here and we start with the world again.
Good.
Get more things go outside.
I
That's the difference.
I mean, we started doing Absolute Dogs thing in October, so nearly,
yeah.
he's intelligent, so he started to predict, so it made it worse.
Yeah.
So he would go out and say, I might say a high arousal thing, so I'll start behaving as if there is a high arousal.
Come on.
So the main thing that's changed in doing Absolute Dogs thing is that their predictions largely gone, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now it's just when he's surprised and he's still, if his arousal is too high, he makes a silly decision. But
Yeah. But on the whole, you guys are reading better.
I mean, he would react to everything, like leaves on the pavement.
Everything.
We couldn't really leave the house that much. He got overweight because we had to DMT everything for so long, and now he's slowly starting to be totally different.
Well, it sounds like when you say silly, it actually sounds like that's actually a really quick improvement. In lots of, I know it's like harder or slower. It feels like it's taking a long time. But when I'm listening to that, I'm like, that sounds amazing. Like that sounds really like we're like, yes.
The other thing about being in a group environment that you can hear where people were 6 months ago.
Absolutely.
Well, actually, maybe this has improved a lot. Like we never saw it.
It's funny. I was really quick, slightly different story. I was I'd had a problem with my toe. It was a podiatrist, and there was a business this morning, and she was telling me about her dog, and she basically her dog's had a paralysis, and her dog's not walking, and we've had a spinal trauma. And the phrase that immediately got my heart, because those people that haven't watched Brave on YouTube, there's a whole episode on Brave, and I dare say watch it, probably have tissues, because it's emotional. It's emotional. And I was listening to this lady talk, and basically her dog put it in denial and is walking still, and still isn't walking, still isn't able to walk. And she was asking me why it's so walking. And that to me is really hard. It gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because where I'm still upset and angry and frustrated at times with the fact that we had such a healthy dog, and we now have a dog who has constant maintenance, constant input, constant feedback, daily treadmilling. Like we do so much with her, and you still don't see massive improvement. I listened to this lady, and 6 months in, her dog isn't walking, or 5 months in, the dog isn't walking. And I felt really suddenly very grateful for where I was, because my dog can go out and she's walking and she's able to go to the toilet on her own, and she's able to have a fairly normal-ish life. Whereas I was feeling sad about this because she looks a bit drunk and she looks a bit like she's going to fall over. Whereas actually her dog can't go out to the toilet on its own, right? And you suddenly hear it and you go, that's a different picture, right? And I think whilst that is not this, you guys will get to hear this a bit, because you get to hear where you are and you get to hear where someone else is, and you get to realise that we're all in the same sort of picture. We're just all at different sort of spectrums and parts of that puzzle. And I suppose what I want to say most to people that have got naughty but nice dogs, and I want you to hopefully join me in saying that, is there's definitely a game for that. There's definitely a place for naughty but nice dogs. There's definitely a way for naughty but nice dogs. If I was to whiz around with Root and just ask you one either top tip, strategy or game that's helped you, what might it be? And I'm going to say a top quick tip, because I know we could probably go on for an hour, and you've got learning to do. So I want to make sure you go and get your learning in. But one top tip, one game, one thing, what might it be?
So I'm brand new to this. I've not done any
Which is
Absolute
amazing.
Dogs,
It's amazing.
so I don't really know the games yet.
Anything, but what have you done this
I
week?
don't know. I guess with us, it's probably the start of the DMT.
Lovely. No, she did. A round of applause. As well. Very good. So I'm not done this absolute dog stuff. I'm new here. And that's amazing. DMT is probably the one that everyone would have said, right? Like everyone, I would have gone DMT straight away, and I figured I shouldn't steal anyone's sort of thunder. But that DMT is massive. Okay, hey.
So I said, I was saying, like, with regards to a tip as opposed to a game, is just to forget about the labels, because it's so hard to go out, feel judged. Like my dog, she's a massive Staffy Cane Corso. And if she like lunges and barks, I know I'm being judged. You just have to let that go.
Yeah.
Like, you know that you're trying your best and you're on a journey. And I think that's the most important thing for me, because the labels can drag you down.
And if I was meeting anyone with a Cane Corso cross Staffy and they're aiming and they're out there, they're trying, whether it's a Great Dane, whether it's a Chihuahua, or whether it's a Cane Corso cross Staffy, the thing is the Cane Corso cross Staffy gets away with it less than the Chihuahua does.
100%.
There's no doubt about that. Have a cute fluffy dog on a lead and then put a Cane Corso on a lead, and the Cane Corso will be judged more than the cute fluffy dog. Right, the cute fluffy dog. I looked at Poppy, my naughty but nice dog, 20 plus years ago, and really she got away with a lot because she was a cute fluffy border collie to a degree. Right, put that in a Cane Corso, dog de Bordeaux, a Neapolitan Mastiff body, and suddenly you're at a different ball game.
Yeah, you get labels before you even start. So I guess the
Drop the
important
nose.
thing is, don't put them on yourself.
Yeah.
If there's enough people putting a label on you, just focus on, the journey.
And I like what we said,
progress.
you're doing your best.
Yeah.
You're trying, you're learning, you're growing, you're doing what you can do. And she's no different really to Chihuahua. She's just in a different fortune,
Just
right?
bigger, much
Yeah.
bigger.
It's bigger. It's just a bigger. Possibly less spicy. I mean, a lot of Chihuahua. She's not. I had exactly. There you go. I had a very quick story. I had a lady ring me when I was very first dog training. I answered the phone, And the lady said, and I was like, okay, we're now like an SOS ambulance type service. I was like, okay, and how can I help? She said, I'm imprisoned. And I was like, you're in prison? She's like, I'll go into the living room. Every time I step into the living room, he fights. I was like, oh God. Anyway, basically, it wasn't a Jack Russell, it was Jack Russell Cross Chihuahua. It was a mix of the two, which was a great mix. And basically, she couldn't get into her own living room, and the dog was launching from the sofa to the door. And I said, "How old is he?" 14 weeks. It's 14 weeks. Anyway, we worked with him, and actually, they were a really great couple. They worked really well. He just had a lot of privileges, and he needed a lot of things just brought back to. And even back then, we did ditch the bowl. Even back then, we did ditch the routine. We didn't call it ditch the bowl and ditch the routine. We called it learn to earn. And we played around with it, but it was the same thing, right? It was the same thing. Go on, one tip you'd give someone, or one game you'd give someone.
Definitely a tip, because you can do as many games as you want to can learn.
Brilliant.
There's thousands and right. So it's really difficult to wrap my head around all of them. But it's just like it.
Nice.
If you don't understand, it's just fun. And you've got nowhere to start. Because you can look at your dog and think, oh, they're so happy, and they must be in a good mood. Just try. Oh. No. She's not like that. Actually, her mind's going like mental because they're relieved, they're the dog now, the noise outside there. And yeah, just until you understand that. Don't bother.
Reading and understanding stress part.
You don't.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
That's how.
My favourite game is disengage pattern.
Nice. Explain the game.
So you throw one piece of food toward a distraction, and then as the dog turns towards you, they get much, much more food for coming away from the distraction. And we're literally saying, here's the value. The value is coming away from that thing that you want to go and have a look at and go and maybe bark, lunge, lick, hump, whatever it is.
And don't tell YouTube about humping normal dog behaviour. You might get the ban from YouTube. You're not because they explicit humping. Go on.
But it's just teaching the value of coming away.
Stop the rudeness. It's getting worse.
It's a really, really cool game, and there's lots of different ways that you can play it, lots of different scenarios that you can play it in. It's just absolutely one of my favourites. I think I've taught it everybody that I've had here.
Yep.
Yeah, very good.
Yes.
So yeah, it's one of my
sons. Very cool.
I was going to say this in editing.
Yeah.
So you can down on that. And I would, as a tip, I would say don't be bothered about those people who come up to you in the park and say, "Oh, my dog would like to meet your dog."
Oh, yeah.
That sort of thing.
Yeah.
I said just, and we've had this recently when we were out for a meal, sitting outside a pub in the chilly weather because it was safer. And someone came up with their puppy and said, "Oh, my puppy would really like to meet your dog." And I went,
Yeah.
John's looking that way, going, "Oh yeah, there's a few really nice."
Your father's screen is just say no.
I know.
The word no.
Practice the art of no, and I really agree with this because I had it the other day. A little child running over saying hello to one of my dogs, and it's definitely good. And then secondly, very similarly, I've got a young dog with someone's asked, and their big dog socialise with my young dog, and I'm like, no, and no need. And it's actually in your dog's best interest. So I think the thing to say is, I love the line that either we're practicing not greeting people, we're practicing not meeting dogs because all he wants to do is meet dogs, or we're practicing not greeting people because all she wants to do is meet people. We're actually training her not to. Thank you so much. We're working really hard on not doing that. So that's one thing. Or my dog would not enjoy this experience. And I remember seeing a really young 18-month-old German Shepherd, like fish at the end of his lead. Beautiful dog, stunning dog. I had 6 border collies out with me. I was on a beach. Matt was surfing at the other end of the beach with Eliza. And I had 6 dogs with me. The man said, "Can you play?" as he's going down to his lead to let the lead go. And I'm like, these 6 are off lead under control, but they are all sharp. They're all border collies. They're all quick and sly when they want to be, right? And I was like, I just don't think he or they will enjoy that experience. He's like, "Oh, he will." I was like, no, I really don't think that would be suitable. I really don't. And in that minute, I carry on to jog along and get out of the situation. If anything, create space. Do not put yourself head on head in that situation. Just not clever. Just not clever. Like, really isn't. And it's always okay to say no. I did feel bad. I was walking away from the little girl. She was so cute. So in that moment, would you like a picture with her though? Yes. Because you walk away feeling terrible, don't you? So her mum plonked her on a tree and I plonked the dog on a stump. And they sat there doing this and she was like going like this. And the dog was like just far enough away. Find another way to do it. Like find something else to do. You've got to think dog. I was talking to someone any other day and they're trying to speak to the dog and I've got dog under my arm. And he's come over, so just come over to me, stroke the dog under my arm. And I've just done that with the dog. And then you go over here, and I'm just like, oh, yeah, over there. And I'm like this. And I'm honestly, I'm like, if you watched me, it would be common. I need to get you to follow me somewhere, Sammy, with a young dog. Because I am so, like, darty about this now. And I'm just like, just changing the baby on the other arm, like I'm really good at it. Or I put them in middle and no one's going to come to you here. And they're just not. So I think it's like, exactly. So I think it's really important to acknowledge that you can say no, it's okay to say no. And actually you can make it quite awkward for people to come up to your dog if you want to. And that's, to be honest, what I do now. I make it difficult for them to get to my dog. And okay, over here, a tip or a trick or a hack or a learning point or a game.
I think when you're playing games, keep the sessions short and fun. I think also be nice dogs like a lot of variety and unpredictability. And I think exactly absolutely. And I think we made the mistake of doing lots of really long sessions, and we just ended up feeding him far too much food, and then he was just predicting off what we were going to be doing. But if you keep the sessions short and fun, unpredictable, appear and disappear, then they seem to learn a lot more. And you can teach them throughout the day as well, rather than doing one big session.
I love that. Yeah, I love that.
Probably related to that is not to keep doing the same things over and over again.
Yeah.
It's very easy when you've got a dog, as we did, who you see something improve, but you keep doing the same thing and then wonder why the results aren't any different.
Yeah.
So it would be to end up with a toolbox of things that you have, and not to be working on the same thing for too long.
No, I love that.
Because they get to a point where they think, oh, we're doing the disengagement thing, when it becomes a trick in that you want me to walk up to that thing and turn around, don't you? Because it means,
So actually making it enough variety for the century.
particularly when they're clever and they predict.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think, guys, worth saying with you doing amazing. Your dogs are so lucky to have you. Naughty but nice is absolutely something that we celebrate here. And I think it's actually just very normal dogs. And all we sometimes see are extremes in those behaviours, or something that's just gone a little bit wayward, or something's been allowed to be rehearsed for a certain amount of time and then become a little bit established. Those are sometimes, or a dog with really an extreme predisposition to do something. So we see extremes in those things. Basically, your dogs are very lucky to have you. You're in a really good space. You're in a really brilliant learning space. Share it. Make sure the ripple effect gets bigger, because I know personally that Poppy went through chain collars. She went through chains being thrown at her when she went near another dog. She went through spray collars, and she went through chains throwing disc throwing to the floor. I didn't actually ever understand any of them, but various trainers 20 years ago we would visit would use all of them. I never ever visited a shock collar trainer, and yet they were out there. I was lucky enough to dodge them. And I think the damage that you do to your dogs and your relationship with your dogs is sometimes irreparable. And that for me makes me really sad. And it makes me really sad to think that dogs out there is still normal. It's still normal dog training. It's still very, very common practice in a lot of places. And like you said, with certain breeds, it's very common practice, because they look at that breed and they say, that's the breed I'll use that with. It's a hard breed. It's a hard dog. It's a tough dog that will take this and will need to use this to get the result. And that is absolutely a myth that we need to dispel and get rid of as a dog-owning community and a dog-loving community, ultimately. I never believe that people go out there to be nasty to their dogs. I believe that they're frustrated, don't know what to do, misadvised, uninformed, just don't really know how to handle it. And that's when you go down the aversive route, and whatever that might be. Those discs that they used with one of my dogs, Poppy, they literally would throw them to the floor just to make a noise. But that for her was enough for her to bolt at any noises. So all I did was really lack even more confidence, like with her. And she didn't trust me either then. And the other thing she did, which really upset me, is she stopped warning dogs. So she stopped growling. I've got to get a video of Classic. She's hilarious. We're looking after a young dog at the moment, and she's hilarious. All I can hear outside is this. It sounds like something's revving up. Because I look out and I can see her just standing her ground, and this little dog like going around like, okay, we'll just stay here. And then she tries again. She goes, how about here? And she but it's brilliant. If you look at it, that dog's never gone near Classic, and she's listening to the warning, and then she's kind of fiddling about a bit. And I watch that and I say, good girl, Classic. You are such a good girl. Like, you are such a good girl. And she's like, angry cat. And then I remove the other dog, and the situation is dismissed, really, because I've gone interrupted, dismissed. You off, and you're a good girl. You're fine. Whereas what I'd have done with Poppy at the time is like, don't you do that. Poppy, stop. Don't do that. Because I didn't know what else to do. And she was growling at people's dogs. And at that moment, the dog trainer I went to threw a disc in that situation. So instead of growling, what she do next time? She just went straight for a bite. Straight for a bite. No growl. Bite in. Off we go. And so that for me taught me a massive lesson. And it was not a step I could put back in easily. That's worrying. Because you can't get them to learn it again. You've punished it. You've squashed it. And now get them to relearn it. Yeah. So for me, your dog's in an amazing place. We are so lucky to be here compared to where we were 20 years ago. And some people are still where we were 20 years ago. And I think that we can do a lot here. So that was this episode of YouTube. I know that literally the people around here deserve a massive round of applause. Let's do it for ourselves. Come on, guys. Not even like owners all over the world. It's making a difference. It's having a ripple. You guys are doing a brilliant job, and keep doing it, I think is all I say. And we'll see you next week for next week's episode.